Hey everyone, this is Make for Life. In today's P4L review, we'll be taking another early look at a pre-production sample, this time from Fans Toys. This is their FT-11 spotter, their homage to the G1 reflector, the three kind of buddies, or clones, or whatever you want to call them, that formed into this camera. Just a quick disclaimer, again, this is a pre-production sample, which essentially means kind of a test shot, early version or draft of this figure. It's not going to be exactly the same as the retail version, so take what I say in this review with a grain of salt, as things may likely change before the final release. Alright, so before we go into the actual review itself, let's go ahead and look at some of the things that he comes with. So there's a lot of things going on here, but aside from the actual camera mode, we do have some extra blasters, and they're twin blasters. They may have storage somewhere. I haven't been able to figure it out. It doesn't look like there's any storage in the actual alt mode itself, but again, I don't have any instructions or packaging or anything like that, so I'm not really sure. This came separate from me. In addition to that, we have this small model version of Reflector, and this is supposed to be kind of for alt mode. You could have him pose with different characters. A lot of people use Thundercracker to pose him with, since in one episode he held a reflector to take some pictures or zoom in on something. Just give you an idea of scale. This is with MP10 and his KFC hands. All right. So yeah, those are the extra accessories that are kind of bonus or cannot store in camera mode from what I can tell. So we'll just move them off to the side and go ahead straight into alt mode review. So alt mode is obviously an SLR camera. We're taking a look at it from all sides first. And it's a nice purple camera. It does feature a flash, which we'll talk about in a second. On the back, you do get a little circular viewfinder. I don't know if that's at all accurate to the show or in real life. You can see a lot of robot mode kind of sticking out here, particularly the chest. Not too bad. The head is right here, and you'll be able to see it underneath the other flash cover, but at least they covered up the face with these little pieces there. And the lens itself is a translucent green. Some of the things aren't sticking together that well, like there's a gap here, and I can explain why once we get to that part. But again, this is a pre-production sample, so it's expected to have some fine-tuning done. The flash itself does come off. I don't really like how they did this, so you can display it without and it looks exactly the same. It doesn't really peg on that well. It's just this kind of rectangular area here that covers this, and this cutout that goes around this, and the gap for the head. It doesn't really peg on securely. It would have been nice to have some tabs. It's a little loose for my taste. In addition, this back piece does act as kind of a holster for a knife. And there's three of these, but this one is not very well hidden. Like when you stick it in here, it still very much has the handle sticking out. So that seems a little lazy to me. There's no posability in this at all, but we'll go ahead and move this off to the side and deal with it in a bit. As for the lens itself, the lens doesn't have any articulation. It does have some molded detail that kind of shows you which way it's supposed to be oriented, but it doesn't really matter for the most part. There's a lot of different ways you can orient it. You can detach it. Some people seem to say, oh, that's kind of realistic. I don't know if I take it that far and saying it's realistic in being able to detach it. It does require parts to come off for transformation. So first thing we'll do is show you guys how to transform this and then the rest of the figure. But as for the rest of the alt mode review, he does have some gaps here because these little light purple pieces slide down to fill in a hole that's left during transformation. So it's kind of an interesting choice to have this slide down and be alternating colors and leave a slot up here, as opposed to just leaving the gap like this. This is obviously a much bigger gap. In any case, it's a design choice that they made. I don't really care that much about it, but all the figures do have that. You can see his actual, I guess, shutter on the inside here, which is molded and painted silver. So the overall paint apps are really clean on this. Nice use the silver. The green here is pretty nice. I actually do wish they had the kind of translucent green that Make Toys had on theirs. I really like that translucent green. It doesn't look like we'll be getting that with Spotter. But overall, pretty clean. The only other qualm I have with it is that it doesn't actually sit on the base of the camera itself because there's tabs here. So there's a set of tabs here, here, and down here. So it does sit flat because it does have it distributed all the way across. But it would have been nice to actually have it sit flat on the base. But a minor qualm. And one other difference that you'll see here is that it doesn't have a screw here or port that allows for actual mounting on the camera tripod like the Make Toys one. Not that that's particularly necessary, but it was kind of a cool bonus that Make Toys added on. If you put the camera lens in a certain way, you can actually get it to rotate a bit. That's, you know, neither here nor there, but it is a quote-unquote feature that you're able to use if you wanted to. Alright, so let's go ahead and start transforming. The first thing we'll do is deal with the accessories. So this piece here on the flash comes untabbed upwards. You can see these two tabs here. And this piece, again, is just by itself. It has the sheath for the one dagger or combat knife. This piece here will separate lengthwise. And then these two pieces come undone as well once you undo those. And these become also sheaths for combat knives. And these are also identical in terms of the mold itself. And they go onto the left side of the legs for any of the robots. And we'll show it off later. Here, you're going to need to push back on this silver piece until it goes all the way back and it'll protrude a bit there. Do that. And then what we're going to do next is deal with the actual camera lens. We're going to hold on to this right now because we're going to need that. So coming around to the camera lens, it actually untabs on top and on bottom. If you have the correct orientation, you're going to fold these up, revealing this tab here, and that's going to make use of this slot. Like that, and then you have one gun. I don't know, I don't particularly like the look of this blaster. It just seems like they're using pieces that are left over from the lens and flash to make this. You do have some bit of articulation here, which you can use for holding on the handle. Not articulation, but movement. You can move it back or forward, and I'll show you why that's important in a bit. Same thing on the side, just fold the two pieces in half, revealing the tab, get it right into that slot, and you have two of these. Two of them will feature these two guns. This last piece is actually kind of difficult to transform. I'm going to try to do it without cutting, but the difficulty is it's tabbed up here and tabbed in the back, and I found that it's actually quite difficult to get both undone enough to make use of this double hinge. So you're going to undo these two tabs and then use those hinges to come forward, but again, it might be easier said than done. And I feel like I'm stressing something every time I do this transformation. So it looks like I got it out, but it's not rotating. Oh, there we go. So we'll get that side, and then get this side. The green lens itself actually is on a hinge that you're supposed to rotate. Come on. So it's on two hinges. You're going to have to rotate the lens up like this. And then on the base here, it's going to rotate this way. These two pieces just come down like that. There's a little handle in here. I'm going to rotate that back. This part, I guess, was the rear or the front. I'm not actually, oh yeah, the rear that mounts into the camera face. You're going to rotate that around and then pull out these two barrels. And then you'll see a second handle up here. So this becomes kind of a Gatling gun-ish type gun. It does have a little shield here up front for protection. Most of the reviews I've seen for this forgot to actually do that rotation, but you can have it either way, but it looks more accurate this way. More accurate in the sense that this is the most likely the intended use for that rotating joint there. So yeah, you're gonna undergrab it, hold it from the bottom here, and then you're gonna have optionally that other gun. So you have these 3 guns here. They're all okay, I guess. They're kind of decent. They're making use of whatever's left over. So it's not an all-in-one transformation like the Make Toys one, which has its own ups and downs. But as for this main body, you're basically just going to untab this here and this here, and you'll see that these pieces are identical. The only difference is that essentially this piece was on the side here, kind of. I mean, there are molded differences, but essentially this piece is on the side. So these 2 guys, I'm only going to transform once to show you how that's done, and you'll know how to transform the other one, and then I'll transform this one for last. So to get these guys transformed, let's move this one out the way. The first thing we'll do is kind of pull on the top part of the legs, and that will give you a little bit of access to pulling up these gray pieces because they're actually tabbed in there. Then here we'll go down and there's some panels that you can open up like so. We're going to slide this piece up and then undo the tabs here. And these 2 pieces will sandwich together, making use of those 2 tabs. And it's a little tricky to get them aligned. There we go. But once they tab into place, it's very secure. The next thing we'll do is bring the legs down partially. So make sure these are like that. We'll just bring them down to like this for now. We can just twist these up. And I'm not really sure how they're supposed to store, but I'm going to just leave that like that for now. And I'm also going to get the feet out. Just flip them out. These are some pieces of die cast in the toes, which is nice. And then we're going to extend the legs. The legs are very similar to MP Soundwave's legs and how they're designed and how they kind of all fold up. Next, we'll come around and untab the arms, and they're going to open up to the side. The head is on a panel that slides up. You can rotate that around. Next, we're going to flip up this leg panel like so on one side, get that rotated around like that, and then you're going to want to rotate the leg down so that the hips can rotate downwards. Same thing on the other side. Then you can rotate that down. This little panel will swivel around and then rotate that down. And then you can tab this piece in. This tab here will go into the back of his butt to form a super butt. These pieces now can kind of rest here. There definitely should be a tab here. Like these pieces are pretty floppy. If this hinge was a bit stronger, maybe, or a pin was a bit stronger, I could give it a pass, but this is super floppy. I definitely do not like that. I guess it's a minor concern. This is the back of the leg, but still something that I would have expected a bit more of from Dance Toys. Oh, I did it without actually mentioning it, but that piece here kind of rotated up through the legs to come up to the back. These pieces in the center are going to rotate down, and they have tabs that tab into the sides to form his obliques. This piece is going to fold up like this, and then fold all the way up. When you do that, you'll notice that there are slots here for these corresponding tabs on his shoulders. From here, let's go ahead and deal with the arms first, just because they're easy to get done. They're on extending joints. Just make sure to extend it all the way. Rotate it around. Open up the back of the arm to reveal the panel, and then rotate out the fist. And that's going to need to rotate as well. Same thing on the other side. Extend, rotate, Just make sure to extend it all the way. Open up the back of the arm, rotating this around. Come on, there we go. Close it up. The reason why I saved this part for last is it's the trickiest. So this part is easy, just fold this down. This side here has one of the most annoying transformations I've seen in quite some time. What you're gonna do is you'll see that it's all kind of there's an L gap here that goes inside. What you're gonna need to do is get this centerpiece back and then up. And doing that is pretty frustrating because it's on a C-clip and it tends to pop out a lot. So what you're going to want to do is push it up like this. And what I end up doing is pushing in and making use of that gap in the C-clip to kind of rotate it in. It's very hard to describe what I'm trying to do here. But there we go. So you can see I pushed down on the front edge of this to get it rotated around. And that's how I got it to actually come up and sit correctly. And then you rotate this like so. Flip these up like this. This is going to come down, rotate in. And before you forget, there's actually a sliding joint here on this entire piece. Slide it to the center, and that'll get everything kind of centered. And then this goes and rotates down into place. It doesn't tab into place, but this hinge is pretty sturdy, so it's not going to flop around on you. And with that, we have one of the side pieces transformed into robot mode. Okay, so going to this central piece, and I'm sorry, I don't remember all the individual names for each of these guys. But yeah, getting him transformed is very much the same. Except that he does have this piece in the center here, and so I'm going to try to remember exactly how to do that. So I think the first thing we can do is flip this piece up like that. And then similarly as we did before, we can slide this up. Start folding these pieces into place. Flipping these tabs open. Rotating the legs down partially. And since we're already here, I'll go ahead and deal with this now. You're gonna have to get this angled in such a way that allows you to rotate it around on this kind of diagonal post. And I did it very smoothly one way before, so it actually does extend to give you a little bit of room. Now I'm forgetting how I did it. Oh, there you go. You gotta rotate it up like this. And that'll give you the room to rotate around. And then that'll form kind of the backpack. Doing the rest is basically the same. English, Henry, English. Go ahead and do that. Extend the legs. You can split them up at this point. It's probably easier to split them up at this point. And these panels flipped around. Getting the arms out of the way. Extend the head up. And again, since I didn't have instructions, this probably isn't the correct order. I'm going to bet it's not the correct order on how to do a lot of this transformation, but it'll get you there, so. Okay. Alright, flip open the little hip pieces like that, spread the legs, let this piece clear upwards. From here, rotate this piece down, to the side, rotating the legs down. And then you can tab in the butt flap, get these rotated down, get these oblique pieces rotated down and tabbed in. Flip this piece around like so. Is that platform all the way up? Okay, I think it is. And then rotating this around and tabbing that into the shoulders. go. And then this backpack will flip down and sit like this. You can have this fold down a little bit if you want to get it a little bit closer to the body there if you'd like. Sorry for that unexpected cut. I actually knocked out one of my lamps and broke the glass, so there's probably microscopic glass all over this area right now, but we're gonna press on. Sorry it's a little bit darker. Once I get my new lights in about a week, everything will be much better lit. But yeah, that's why we had that quick cut. Extending the arms all the way, flipping open that rear panel, flipping this out like so. Same thing on the other side. There we go. And here we have the Centerbot transformed into robot mode. And here we have Reflector and all three of his bots in robot mode. And this mode looks really good. I really enjoy how these guys look together. Because they're supposed to be so similar, I like how they're pretty much identical. The chest piece being slightly different here on the central figure. Overall, the build quality is very nice. I always enjoy Fans Toy stuff. Although, I think Tesla's probably my least favorite. Just a quick aside there. Let's take a look at each of these in terms of posability really quick. So he is on a ball jointed head, yeah. So you get a lot of head bobble there, some up, a little bit of down. He does have a friction joint shoulder, swinging out shoulder there, bicep swivel, a double jointed elbows, which give him, I don't know, 135 degrees of movement, swivel on the wrist, masterpiece style hand with all four fingers. They do make this pointer finger a little bit more curled up, kind of like a trigger pose, I guess. On the legs, if you get these hip panels, you might be able to move the hip panels a little bit like this. You get pretty much 90 degrees going out. It would get 90 degrees if it weren't for this hip panel. You can rotate these skirts up. You can get about 90 degrees, close, probably 80 degrees. The upper thigh swivel. He has a double jointed knee that gives him, again, about the same as the arms, 135. Just make sure when you extend the legs out that you get it as far out as possible. It's supposed to look like this, where this round section of the gray plastic comes up and lines up with this purple leg section there. You get some articulation on these back panels. That's kind of awesome, I guess. He has some toe articulation here. On the back here, he does not have the head covers or face covers that we got with the other guys, just bringing this guy in. I'm not sure if these are supposed to be rotated down this way or up this way. I just think they make more sense and look cleaner rotated down that way. He does have a ankle tilt going inwards, no going outwards, but it can go all the way like this. It looks like he should because there's this joint here. Oh, actually you can. It's very tight. But that's really it for robot mode articulation. Let's look at the head sculpts really quickly. This is probably my favorite of the head sculpts. It's kind of duck-lipped, but it's very straight-faced, which is how I picture these guys, being very serious, or like, well, not serious, but like non-emotional. Nice painted eyes. Overall, the head sculpt's pretty good, not bad. Some people seem to not like the head sculpts offered by Fans Toys in general, but I don't really mind them that much. Let's see, here's the smirking one. So he has one side very much smirking. This one's not too bad, but I think the smirk is a little too exaggerated. And then this is the cheesing guy. He also has a smirk, but he's also showing some robot teeth. This is probably my least favorite. If I have the choice, and I actually don't remember if they're all gonna have faces, all three faces, or if you just get kind of like a set like this. I don't really remember, but if it were my choice, I'd just go straight face for all three of these guys. So yeah, there's no real difference in robot mode except for the backpack, which we showed off before. This one sticks out slightly more than the centerpiece. As far as accessories go, let's go ahead and bring in. So this piece is the mystery piece to me. I'm going to start off with this because I don't know where this is supposed to go. It has some tab slots here, which kind of align to certain pieces. So it could almost fit in here, except it doesn't have anything to tab onto. What I found was that these two butt pieces here, they line up perfectly as well. And if there were some kind of tabbing piece up here, like this, a slot here for this tab here, then you would be able to slot this in and tab this into one of them, and that would create another bigger backpack and differentiate the three a bit more. And all it would take is a little tab there, and I would be much happier with them if they did that. Because as it stands now, this piece serves no purpose in robot mode other than a sheath for the dagger. So we're going to leave that off to the side. As I said, with these dagger holsters or sheaths, they can only, as far as I can tell, tab into the left leg. Using these two tabs, they can go on like that. You get two of them, so you can put them on whichever guys you want. Actually, let's show off the knife since we have it. It does have the masterpiece style tabs on the handle. And the knife itself is painted silver on the front. It's a very basic knife, nothing too impressive, honestly. Let's go ahead and put that on this guy here. Just open up the hands, and the hands have that little slot. The one thing I don't like about the hands here is that that tab actually goes all the way through. The slot goes all the way through, so you can see right through the hand. Don't love that. You can also make use of the other gun, the small handgun. This is just molded in gray plastic, nothing extra on it. It seems very basic. Again, rotating that into the hand. This one's a little bit of a tighter fit just because the handle is quite big. And to get it into the hand, you have to make sure that it's positioned high enough. There we go. There, and he's smirking. He's liking it. The transformed lens and flash cannon. So when I mentioned that this handle can move forward and back, the reason why I think it's better to have that option is because this cannon is pretty heavy and it doesn't have any tabs or anything like that. Which I mean, if you're gonna put it on the dagger and the handgun, I wouldn't know why you wouldn't do it here unless there was not enough room for transformation. I didn't check that out. But if you move the handle forward like so, you can slide in, and there's a little slot on the top of the forearm that tabs in there, and that makes it super secure. And even though it's pretty heavy, you're not going to have any issues with that if you transform the handle that way. So I don't know if anybody shown that off, but I think that's the first time I've seen anybody show that off. Something I figured out. But if somebody's shown it already, I stole that from them apparently. And then the other cannon, the arm cannon, the way this works is this tab actually comes in from underneath. And it's actually a really tight fit on mine. I can barely get it in. There we go. And if you position it correctly, you can actually get both hands to kind of grab on. I'm not even going to try to bother to... Oh, actually there we go. Yeah, I mean you can get it positioned a little bit better than that, but you can't have him actually holding both handles at the same time. You can go ahead and bring in a mini reflector here, and then you still have all these extra accessories. We can throw this one on. This guy's leg here. Oops. You have this extra gun, so if you want this guy to dual wield these huge cannons, you can do that. Again, making use of that tab on top of or slot on top of the forearm. The only leftover piece is that weird third dagger sheath, which makes up the backpack. I mean, not backpack, the flash. Which again, if they just added one little slot, it would perfectly fit right here. And sometimes if I do it correctly, I can get it to kind of sit in place without falling off. Like, yeah, it would basically look like that. So trying to get everything on these guys at once is very tough. So yeah, that's it for robot mode. Let's go ahead and show off some comparisons very quickly. We can bring in an MP car. We can bring in Grenadier. And we had MP10 earlier. Where is he at? We can bring in MP10. So they're pretty much carbot sized, which I think is a pretty good scale for these figures. I don't think there's anything else I need to go over in robot mode, but if I missed anything, go ahead and leave it in the comment sections and I'll try to answer those questions for you. So robot to alt mode, we'll start off with the center figure. You're going to rotate the hands so their palms are upwards like so. Open up the back panel, rotate the fist in and close up. And then we're going to rotate the biceps 90 degrees like so. Collapse them in, and then just make sure that this is kind of sitting flush against the rest of the arm. Coming around to the back, I feel like I did something wrong before in the way I transformed this. So we're just going to lift this up slightly for now, and just enough to get us clearance to rotate this out. We'll go ahead and flip these pieces up using that double hinge to get it all the way into the center. These are kind of hard to get at. Luckily I have some fingernails because I've been lazy and haven't been cutting them for the past couple days. Just for you guys. I go ahead and press down on the head, and you'll notice the shutter actually comes down as well. You're going to want to rotate the head around. Like that. Alright. Then we're going to go deal with the legs. First things first, we'll go ahead and flip these up. Untab the butt piece. Rotate it to one side, rotate the leg up and out. Up and out. And remember, you're going to need these hip pieces angled like this. You can't have it angled like this because you're not going to be able to fold them back in. So yeah, you're going to fold it like so. Get the butt flap piece down and tabbed into the crotch. Rotate this piece down and unfold it like this. Then we can rotate the legs in. Oh, that tab came undone. There we go. Then we can rotate the skirt pieces on the side inward. Rotate the shoulders in. For a second, I forgot which way we were going. On the feet, go ahead and fold up the die-cast toes. You're going to want to flip these panels out and open like this. And collapse the legs. I feel like it's a bit easier working with them individually, but you may want to tab them together now. Just your preference. And just get it collapsed all the way down. It's very tough to do. Honestly, collapsing is easy, and you guys know how I feel about collapsing legs, but once you have that like this, you're going to need to rotate and clear these arm pieces, which sound easy, but you have to also make sure that these white thigh pieces are basically parallel with the lower legs, and that's where I find this really difficult. Oh, actually for this guy I forgot we actually have to rotate this first, like that. Alright, sorry about that, a bit of a detour. But yeah, you need to get the white pieces in so that only like 1 or 2 millimeters are showing. Rotate this piece down. Actually, there's nothing that needs to be tabbed in here, so we don't need to do that until last. But yeah, once you have that done, tab it on the top. Open up these two pieces. And I find the easiest part, this is probably the most frustrating part for me, is getting all this stuff on the bottom situated because of these leg pieces. The easiest way I found is to deal with this back piece first, like that. Then rotate the front piece down. All right, and then push. But you can't push too much. You want to get these level. But it's very hard to do. And the reason we want to get that level is so that you can flip this panel closed. Same thing on the other side. And I find this the easiest step by step, because if you flip these panels in first, it's really hard to get one or the other side of these panels in correctly. Believe me, when you try it out, you'll understand what I'm saying. And then pull these pieces down to cover up that hole. Flip this down. And then this piece flips down with those two slots and tabs aligning. So here's the central piece. Okay, one of the side pieces, flip up the palms again. I know this is going to be kind of like deja vu. Maybe I should just skip directly to the backpack, but I want to show you the complete transformation for at least the two different figures through completion. We'll just speed through a lot of this. Collapsing the arms. The arm collapsing mechanism is actually pretty good. I feel like the leg collapsing mechanism is not that good on this figure. It doesn't feel like sometimes the legs are fully collapsed when they should be, and sometimes it doesn't feel like when you're fully extended, it doesn't feel like it locks into place that well. So untabbing the backpack. It's not even the back, I guess most of the main body. That'll give you room to rotate these small flaps in. Like so. Pull the head down. We're going to rotate up the hip skirts. And it must be that Reflector is just a hard figure to engineer, since I've messed with the Big Toys ones. I did that guest review with ages 3 and up at TFCon Canada, which was a lot of fun. But that was a really frustrating transformation, and this one as well. The difference here is this face panel, so just make sure to rotate it like so. But both of these figures have some very difficult parts that make it very frustrating to transform in one way, shape, or form. I think this is a bit easier because you don't have as much. Oops, I forgot to get this piece through. I feel like this is a bit easier than Make Toys just because you don't have a lot of hidden tabs that you're blindly trying to tab together. But both are frustrating to some degree. Like this one has this weird thing going on here with a C-clip, which I'll transform in just a second. And it also has these frustrating leg pieces here, which I really don't enjoy. This weird thigh bend here. And my hands are literally hurting from having to do this transformation a number of times just to get it down pat for you guys. And if you guys think I'm messing up a lot here, you should have seen me before, off camera, because it was way, way worse. Alright, tab in both the legs. You can't tab in this section yet because you have to fold this down and you have to deal with the backpack. So let's go deal with the backpack again. So rotate these side pieces down. And just to get some extra room, I rotate it like this. particularly this way because you don't want the tabs to sit here because that gives you even less room. And again, using this time the rear of the C-clip, I push on it to get it to rotate downward, and that gives me the room to rotate down like this. Here, you're going to have these tabs rotated into these slots. On the other side, on the other figure here, I'll bring them out right now. Where is it? Oh, so on this figure, on the one side that wasn't sitting flush, this tab slot was not deep enough. Like you'll see on this one, you can actually see another hole. This one is not deep enough, which is why in alt mode that I showed before, it doesn't sit flush. So again, pre-production sample, I'm sure they'll get that worked out. So getting back to transformation, go ahead and when you rotate that down, rotate that around to get those tabs into place. And see, this sits flush, and that's correct. Make sure to push back that sliding joint so it goes all the way to the one side. Rotate it around. What am I doing wrong? Is that right? Oh, I'm not supposed to rotate that around. Yeah, just fold it down and then close up the legs to tab around these gray pieces. So once you have that done, we're going to do the same thing with the legs. Again, I prefer this way, getting this white section first, because there's squares here that need to fit in that way. I feel that that's the most difficult tab to get in. Once you get that, tab in the front section and push it enough. Get these aligned like that. Then you can fold in these tabs on each side. There we go. And then this one tends to be very difficult to slide down, but let's see if we can get it. There we go. And we've already transformed this one. For the face cover, just make sure the head is tilted forward slightly to get that covered. And see, there's that gap again. Again, that's just a molding problem, but I'm sure they'll get that fixed. So to get this, most of this guy together, we're just gonna tab in these two tabs here and these two tabs there. Come on. Like so. Same thing on the other side. And you're gonna want to tab in the two halves up here of the viewfinder first. And then they tab downward. Oh no. No. Come on. There we go. And then tab downward. Tab downward. Okay. Whew. And you would think we'd be done, but we're not. So getting in all these extra pieces, not these, we don't need these. These extra pieces, let's rotate this down a bit. Very quickly, if you took out the dagger, it does have a specific orientation when you come back. These slots on, the tabs on the handles need to slot in like that. Okay? Go ahead and take these pieces off. This is kind of difficult. I find that getting this silver piece extended forward, ow, hurts my fingers as demonstrated there. Come on. Ow, that hurt really badly. So when you do this, you're going to have one piece kind of rotated up and one handle, not rotate, I'm saying rotated a lot today. One piece going up and one piece going down, like that. These pieces you just open up. So for this, there are specific pegs here and ports. Go like that. It's easier to do on one side first and then get the other side in. Come on. Remember to get these tabs aligned as well. Alright. Then this one with that opening there for the handle. And you got most of the flash. Where's that weird backpack section? Oh, there it is. Here, making use of these two tabs. Just tab straight downward. I'm not seeing it. Okay, I'm just going to slide it back and then tab down. There we go. And that you can just sit right on top. This gun clamps the barrel. So this also has a sliding joint here. I wasn't really sure why this even exists, because you could leave it up here. So I guess in transformation you can leave it here, but I guess for transformation purposes, so it can't rotate back, you can push it back. Anyway, go ahead and rotate that around like that. Rotate the lens, flip the handle down, and this is where we get into kind of the difficult section of rotating this all the way around. Oh, sorry. This. So this section needs to rotate around, and I find it very difficult to do. Even more difficult kind of this way than the other way. There we go, like that. And then getting this all tabbed into place is again a challenge, because you have two tabs here and then one tab that goes into the lens itself. So one side is easy, and then the other side ends up being kind of a challenge, because you need to slide that up while giving enough clearance to this lens to get in. There we go. So once you get that front section in, it's a bit easier. Then bringing either of these, they're identical, so it doesn't matter which one goes on the top or bottom, but it has 4 slots here and here. Tab in. Orientation wise, this little protruding piece here is supposed to go on the left. And then we have him transform back into alt mode. The alt mode, I didn't mention before, is really quite heavy. 3 figures. It feels as heavy as a real SLR or DSLR. And then we have these 2 pieces again. In terms of size, I don't really have anything to compare since it's an inanimate object. But here, that's how big it is. So yeah, that's really it for the review. The transformation of this guy is quite a challenge. I wouldn't say as frustrating as Make Toys version, but in terms of your choice of which one you should get, it's really gonna be up to you. If you don't like the fact that you need to take off some of the parts here, then maybe the Make Toys one is a bit better. I like the bigger lens. I think it looks nicer, and it has, overall, I feel, less frustrating transformation than the Make Toys version. I like the extra bonus here. It's kind of nice, but I mean, it's not wholly necessary. I don't think I'm going to pose any of my figures with this. You can also take this one out, which is kind of cool, but this flash out, which actually tabs in much better than that one, but that's an option there. So yeah, that's really it for the review. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. You know, I sacrificed a lamp for one of my umbrella lights for this review, so I'd appreciate a thumbs up. If you want to add this guy to your collection, you can go ahead and add him to your cart at Toy Dojo. There's a link in the description as well. And as always, if you want to keep up to date with my news and reviews, you can click the new Pick for Life or P4L reviews logo that's been floating around the top right of your corner, or follow me on Facebook at Pick for Life Reviews. That's all for today, everyone. Have a good one.